Welcome to PD on the Go, the podcast that delivers bite-sized learning on communication, collaboration, and facilitation for busy teacher leaders. Tune in while you're in the car, on your lunch break, or making copies, and get ready to level up your leadership skills. My name is Hallie Case, and I'm joined today by my teammate Mary Beth Anderson, and we are with the Office of Professional Learning in Fairfax County Public Schools. So we are getting really close to summer. And over the summer, one unique and kind of neat opportunity that teachers may have is to present professional learning to their colleagues across the school division. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to kind of think about that. Like, how do you shift from a classroom teacher and a teacher leader in your school to serving in a maybe temporary role, but that has more of a division-wide impact? And what might you need to do in order to feel prepared for that experience, whether you're presenting at a summer symposium, maybe you're teaching an academy course, or just doing something else to support curriculum development even. So, Mary Beth, when you think about that shift from teaching students to presenting to peers, what are some things that you think are most important to consider?
Well, I think the first big one that jumps out to me is thinking about it is different when you maybe have presented at your school with people that you know, and now you're bringing your magic or expertise to a larger audience of people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to build that credibility right away. And so one way to do that is really thinking about, don't forget the small little steps that whatever you're sharing about, you want to make sure that you tell each of those steps and really break it down. Because sometimes when we're talking to people that we know, we just say, oh, well, they know what I mean, and talk about it. And it's more like this big picture. But when adults come to learning, they want to take something right away and take it back to their schools and try it, but they need those little steps of how to do it. So not just talking about the what and the why, but really breaking down the how.
And I think sometimes we think we have the how, but there's a little bit of a curse of knowledge or like expert blindness, where if you're presenting, let's say at the literacy symposium, it's because you have had success, or you could be viewed as an expert in that topic. And sometimes it's really hard to remember what it was like before you were in the place you are now. So going back and thinking, what was it like for me before I was an expert at this, so that you don't forget that part of the how to. Because we can see sometimes people jump ahead in the steps and people can get lost. So really, like, who's the furthest away from this knowledge, considering that perspective and the planning is really important.
Yeah, like what do I wish I knew before I got started into this, right? So really thinking about your audience and who's attending, I feel like is a really big thing to think about, so that they walk away with what you're hoping those outcomes are that either you've set or the division has set. Because sometimes you might be stepping in to do a PD that you didn't make, or you're sharing that information. So really thinking about the outcomes and how you tie the pieces together.
So if we're thinking about the planning, we want to consider, like, what are people coming with? What knowledge do they already have? And where do I need to make sure that I'm planning for what they might not have yet? And really thinking through that application, because people want to know that they're going to be able to use the thing that they got. But then once you're there and you're presenting the work, there's some considerations for, like, in the moment, you want to kind of get a sense of how people are responding to you and have some flexibility. So what are some look-fors there, or like some strategies for keeping the temperature where you want it to be?
Well, the first 5 minutes and like when people are walking into the room, you want to greet every person, and you may start to strike up some conversations like, oh, I'm so excited you're here. What are you looking forward to? Or what, so that you can kind of get a gauge of what people are wanting to know, or you might build in a grounding of what is your goal for today's session, knowing the outcomes, and get a chance to look at those. Maybe you collect the sticky notes, or you walk around and listen to conversations, because that really gives you sort of a pulse of the room, and maybe you need to spend more time on one thing and be able to adjust in that moment, how you said being flexible.
Yeah.
Which is tricky because people come with varying levels of experience, and there could be some people that also know a lot about what you're sharing.
Absolutely.
And you want them to still get something out of the session. So having that knowledge up front kind of helps you in your mind to navigate throughout your session.
So plan an inclusive opening that serves the dual purpose of getting you some information about who's in the space.
Yeah.
And then, it's funny because when you mentioned like greeting people when they walk into the room, that's really easy for you. That is not really easy for me. Like, I feel like I can sometimes be that awkward presenter who stands off to the side and I'm like, should I go? Should I not? They're like on their computers. I don't want to interrupt them. And sometimes I have like a little paralysis around it. So sometimes even just like standing at the door like we would for our students and just at least like saying hi and making people feel welcome. I try to make sure I'm all set up before a session starts so that I can be at the door and I'm not like fiddling and trying to get myself in order, because I would not easily be able to just like walk up to somebody and strike up a conversation. So just if you're more like me than Mary Beth,
Not a woo.
And I'm not a woo. I wish I was a woo.
So, but I think doing that, standing at the door or being ready when people walk in, builds your credibility.
True.
Because these people don't know you. And so when you're presenting to a division-wide audience, you want to have that credibility. So whatever you're sharing, you're kind of representing the goals and strategies of FCPS. So you want to be sure to have that credibility so people can take you seriously and really understand the impact of what they're learning from you.
Yeah. I mean, especially like the context in which we're talking, which is summer PD, that can be draining for folks.
Yeah.
So you need them to trust you right away. Some other like top tips for that would be if you're presenting in a space that you're not typically in, like maybe, for example, in our office space, one hard lesson we had to learn is that there's not auxiliary cables in every room to present. So we had to we had to make sure we were bringing extra tech things. So just having a plan if the technology doesn't work the way that you think it will, because there's nothing worse or a greater hit to credibility when you can't get the slides up or, the video sound doesn't start playing the way you were expecting it to. And those things are going to happen. Just expect it so that you have a plan B in case you need it.
Yeah. And what you said about summer PD can be really draining. Doing some energy checks. We think about the idea of 10 and 2. So for every 10 minutes of content you present, the audience needs 2 minutes of processing. And that also helps you to check the energy in the room. Do I need to go back and revisit something that maybe people need clarity around, or let them have some time to check in because they want to think about how are they going to use this back at their school. You always kind of want to be able to tie some processing around that so that because the point of summer PD is that they take it and use it.
Yeah.
So being able to build processing time for that, for energy checks, and for you to kind of get a gauge of what else the audience might need.
So a couple tools come to mind that we'll share. One is an article called Tools for Presenting. And we covered a lot of tips in this episode, but that article will just go more in depth of some of those tools. And then we also have a PD planning tool, which is a graphic organizer that outlines ways to just kind of keep that 10 and 2 rule in mind and make sure that you're weaving in some storytelling and giving that processing time. So you can find those resources on our teacher leadership site, which is linked in our Instagram account at FCPS_PD, or you can search teacher leadership in Atlas to find all of the resources from this episode and our previous episodes. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next week for more PD on the Go.